Now that we've had one game together, I kind of wanted to go over what I see as primary, secondary, and tertiary positions in open field. And essentially, what that means is what you're expected to be able to do based on what I saw you doing on the Saturday's game. So here's a list of things. Jason Burnthorne, primary responsibilities are Fox 1, Fox 2, and Fox 3. Secondary responsibilities are backline support. So backline support is a pod of players behind the alpha attack. And tertiary is the Rambo play that we talked about. The last column you'll view, H10's, his primary positions are hooker and secondary positions are tight head. We'll go down the list. Charles, his primary position in attacking play is alpha. His secondary is backline. And tertiary is Rambo. His positions, tight head, hooker, and flanker. You can go ahead and look through the rest of these. Make sure that you know your responsibilities in open play. This is based on what we saw from Saturday, where I see players' strengths and weaknesses, and so we'll go from there. If you have any questions about that, let me know. Let me kind of scroll down to the bottom of this and take a look at responsibilities. So F1, F2, and F3, that's a Fox 1 through 3. Their primary roles are to provide support for the scrum half, should he pick and go or go weak. The Fox series is an outlet option for slowly recycled ball. They provide alpha ruck support if the backline support is not available. They provide ruck support for the backline support if there's an offload to that backline support. And Fox 3 provides that inside pass option for the fly half. The alpha attack is the primary attacking vehicle that we use. Two of the three alpha attackers will go into contact when alpha is called. It's usually Fox 2, or excuse me, Alpha 2. He will usually go into contact regardless if it's an Alpha 1 or an Alpha 3 leading. And Alpha, what we want to do with that alpha attack is, because we're not using flankers for this next week, we want to have two of those backs going into contact. And one staying out of contact. And the last bullet is alpha attack. They're used to break the gain line and look for that offload support. That backline support is who they're going to be offloading. So imagine an alpha attack pod, and behind that is a backline support. Once the goal of the alpha attack is to pierce the gain line, get past, and then look to offload to that backline support who's coming through. And we'll talk more about this in the coming weeks. Now, I was really pleased with the fact that we were able to consistently run a pattern attack, because that gives me the confidence to move into our next phase, which is introducing more kind of set plays to go. So for this next week, we're going to run a sequence that's an alpha, 610, Bravo, and then a Rambo. So I'll kind of explain what those are. We know what our alpha is. It's 12, 13 going into contact, 12, 13, 14 going into contact. And our goal is going to be to split this 10, 12 gap. So particularly early on. So we want to call something like an alpha 21 or an alpha 20 or an alpha 11 or an alpha 10. The goal again is to run our runners through this gap and to draw this 12 and 10 into contact. So if we're going to do an alpha 21, the 9 would receive it from the scrum, pass to 10. 10 would pin their number 10. Now this is critical. He's got to pin him because he's got to freeze this number 10 from drifting. And then he does his outcut. Meanwhile, our 13, who's our runner, he's running in this line, and his job is to split these two. Who's providing support at this point is probably going to be a 12, and he's providing support to go into contact. And 8 and 7, their responsibilities are to come in here and provide ruck support. They have to be there on that first phase ball in order for this sequence to work. So what we have is a 12, 13 going into contact with a 7 and 8. if our 13 man, our 2 men in this case, is running an alpha, and it looks like 7 and 8 are going to make it there, our number 12 may want to pull back out. And I'll explain what's going to happen in that next phase. So we've got an alpha 21 with their 7 and 8 providing support. At the same time, 6, 4, and 5 are going to be involved in this 6-10, which is the next phase. So after the 12, 13, and 7 and 8 go into tackle, we've got our tackle zone here, followed by, we'll say, a number 10 is here, and they've got their defense sucked in. 13 would have to come in because he's involved in contact, as the 10 may be. So this could be a 10-12 combination defending, but a 13 is going to have to pin in because one of these guys is going to be involved in contact. What we want to do with this 6-10 combination is our 6-man from set phase, he's going to run a nice looping line, and ultimately we'd like to run him on the outside of the 10. So if our 10 in this situation on the 6-10 could move in somewhat, so he's somewhat tight in this position and kind of shallow. What we want to do is we want to run, again, this flanker running straight at this number 10 and pinning his outside shoulder. So he's going to run in this kind of line here. We want to, again, we want to draw this number 13 in to make contact. 10s, our fly halves, don't like tackling 6s. So we've got a good situation here where we've got an advantage. Large runner running at a back, and 4 and 5 at the same time. They're going to be coming in this direction and providing ruck support. The only people that are going to be involved in this are 4, 5, and 6. 6 providing the run, and this pass is going to come off of the number 9. So as the 6 runs around, our 10 is going to be drifting in somewhat into this position, and we want this number 6 to come all the way around, if he can, and take an inward line in that direction, because we want to pin this number 10's outside shoulder. The goal being that we can get through this gap that's created and offload to the 4-5. Now what we want from this is we want really quick ball. If number 6 breaks it through the gain line, well, that's what we want. But if he goes into contact, we want our 4 and 5 over that immediately to provide ruck support. So the only people that are in contact are going to be our 6, 4, and 5. Meanwhile, our number 9 is moving over. At this point in time, we're moving in what we call Bravo phase, or a Bravo sequence, and I'll explain what the Bravo sequence is in just a minute. What's happening here, though, is this number 2, he's kind of coming in this position, he's running around here, he's going to provide some ruck support, but he's involved with the next play. So while the 6-10 is going on, our 12, 13, and 14 who are, our 12 and 13 who are involved in that second phase, in that first phase, they're getting up from their attack and they're coming back into this position. You notice that their attacking pod is no longer on the 10. In our Bravo sequence, we have a second receiver. And what we've done is that we've moved our attacking pod from our number 10 and we moved him out to the outside of the number 15. What's going to happen is our number 9 is going to take quick ball from here. He's going to make a flat pass to number 10, who's essentially going to take one step and pass to our number 15, who's acting as the second receiver. So 15 has come from the fullback position. He's stepped in. This number 2, he's acting as a dummy. He's a dummy runner. He can run straight, and ultimately what we'd like to happen, if the timing is correct, is this number 2 will freeze this defense from drifting this direction. They're going to have to respect that number 2. And what will happen at this point is we'll call a Bravo, and we can call a Bravo 21 Same as our alpha attacking phase, and essentially the 21 would run this route. And that's what we want to do, is we want to freeze this. We want this defense to come across and have to freeze and respect that, because we're pushing this ball further out into open space. 12 and 13, their job is going to be to take the ball and take it up. Now, what we've got in the back here is we've got a number 2 in this position, and we've also got a 3 and a 1, and they're kind of hanging out in backline support. If everything goes according to plan, what's going to happen is these 12, 13 are going to go into contact here, and our 3 and 1 will come through and provide ruck support. So we've got a 12 and a 13 in contact, followed by a 3 and a 1 that are in support, making our third phase attack. So at the start of our fourth phase play, this is where the Rambo comes in. You notice that our 10, 11, 6, and 7 are set in an alpha phase to the left. We've got space to the right with our 14, and we're going to run our number 2, our number 1. Number 1 or number 2 are going to come through here into this space here with an offload pass to number 9. If this works as well as it did last time, what's going to happen is this person was typically Charles, and he's going to be receiving that pass. And our goal is to pin this number 14 out here. We want to be able to run this this fourth attacking phase with less than 15 meters of space. So we've got a wide open field to the left, and we want our Rambo to the right, with Charles running through. Our goal is to have this number 14 commit, and here's our offload pass to our number 14 who goes in for a try. The number 15 defender is going to have to come over here to this. Now, what this means is that this 4 and 5, if Charles runs as like he did last time, 4 and 5 are going to have to provide support in this direction, and the number 9. What happened at when we ran our first Rambo is that everybody stopped and watched Charles run because he had so much space, and had he had better support, we would have scored our first try much sooner than we did. Everybody was stopping to look at Charles run, and it was kind of, from the sideline, it was kind of funny, but nobody ran in support for him. This number 4 and 5 are setting in this Fox 1 and 2, have to get through to this position here. At this point, we've got options. If we go to our fifth phase play, we can go directly to an alpha. If we need to, we can go to a Fox play, and then we start moving it to the left.